if we look at learner progression, so we're in the narrative ones, right? Okay. And we're thinking about your characters. It says, I can develop ideas or theories about the kind of person a character is. You did that part, right? You think he's funny? Mm-hmm. It says, I know this means talking about a character's traits, and I'm careful not to confuse the way the character feels. So you did that. When a character makes a decision and does something, I can usually figure out why, based on what I know of the character and what happened earlier. I notice how the character changes. I notice what the character's doing and saying. So let's think about, you told me Nate is funny. Let's look back in the book and let's find something that he did that proves it. Let's find some evidence.
And Roosevelt's postcards telling them they won $1 billion.
Okay, so let's add that here because you have a good start, but we're still missing that supporting evidence. So let's say, I think Nate is funny because on page, what page was that? I'll hold it up. You were right. On page 6. So can I make a suggestion, Mason? When you're reading, when you're coming across things like that that talk about your main character, that talk about Nate, just put a sticky note on that page so that you can easily find it later, so that if I say, hey, what kind of a character do you have? Or make a prediction based on what your character has been doing or the kind of character you have, you'll have evidence that you can find right away because you'll have marked it with a sticky note. Will that work? So let's put one right now on page 6. And you can even, because I know sometimes it gets kind of busy and full up here, you can even just put it like right, let's see where it was, right here where it talked about I'm pulling another practical joke. Stick it right there. And then that way, when you go to, it'll even show you right where you're at on the page. Okay? Okay. Talks about Nate. He's saying, wait for us. The way he said that, if he's squealing something, that maybe can give us a clue. What are they doing?
That man stretched out in the sun asleep.
Let's stop for a second. Hold on. So, did your main characters just say or do something that could give you a clue? Let's look back there. What did he say right there? Andy's talking.
You still have responsibilities.
Okay, so it sounds like the boys must stay home alone by themselves.
Yeah.
Okay. So what do they do when they're home alone?
They sometimes play basketball because on 3rd chapter they were going against some friends.
Okay.
I won't say friends.
And what else are they doing?
Eating candy.
Eating candy. But look at some of the things that they said. But with school every day and homework every night. What does that make you think? They're probably doing their homework. So that tells us something about them as characters, if they're doing their homework.
Okay, before we get started with today's quick mini lesson, I wanted to share one thing with you from yesterday. Raise your hand if you remember what we were working on. Malaya.
The theory.
Extending our theories about a character. We were trying to write long. We wanted to try and write as much as we could to try and help us grow our ideas about a character. And I wanted to share one more example with you. Look at this. Do you remember we only had about 4 minutes to write? And I want you to think about the kinds of ideas that this kiddo was able to grow, okay? I think about Bim and why he does weird stuff. I think he does it because he's an alien. Could it be that the reason why Bim is weird is because he wants more attention? Ooh, that was like digging below the iceberg, wasn't it? Maybe Bim is weird because he's a real kid, but he's been in experiments and got tested on him, and now he's an alien. Okay, we don't know for sure, but he's digging, he's thinking about what could it be, what could it be? Also, it could be that he's a kid that put on an alien costume, and he can't get it off, and so since he looks like an alien, he decided to just act like one. Do you see how there's 3 different ideas about what's going on with this character? Now, he's going to find out when he keeps reading, right? But in the meantime, his head is constantly going, constantly trying to figure out what is the deeper meaning here. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay, so now that you can extend your theories, now that you're starting to come up with ideas about why a character does something, we're going to take it a step further, and we're going to start making some predictions. We want to use our theories to predict. So I put a picture of a reading log up there because you might not think about reading logs as predictions or using them for predictions, but you can. When I look at somebody's reading log and I see that they've been reading a puppy place book, and then another book about an animal, and then this unicorn book, and then another puppy place book, what kind of prediction would you have about the next book that reader chooses? Jensen? Probably an animal book. So you can figure it out based on what they've already been doing. What about if you were looking at the number of pages? What if we were looking at a reading log and it showed us that somebody read like 15 pages one night, the next night they read about 17 pages, a couple nights later they read 16 pages, a few nights later they read 14 pages. How many would you predict they would read the night after that? Miley?
I bet that he would actually read because he's like reading 17 and then like 16 and 15 and then like...
They're all kind of about the same amount? Would it make sense to say that that person's going to read 6 pages?
No.
Probably not, because they've been consistently reading like between 15 and 20, somewhere in there. Would it make sense to say that the next night they're going to read 48 pages? No. Now, sometimes we're wrong about our predictions, and sometimes characters can surprise us. Sometimes readers can surprise us on their reading logs too. But good readers are always thinking about those ways that they can take patterns and use those patterns of how somebody's been acting to make a prediction. So I want to practice with Opal. When we left off in Because of Winn-Dixie, this was the last part that we read. Listen so I can kind of refresh your memories. Then she made one for herself and put her false teeth in to eat it. When she was done, she said to me, "You know, my eyes ain't too good at all. I can't see nothing but the general shape of things, so I got to rely on my heart. Why don't you go on and tell me everything about yourself, so as I can see you with my heart?" Do you remember this part? Thumbs up if you do. Okay, so now that's where we stopped. I want you to think about Opal. Think about our theories that we've grown. We decided that Opal was a character who is big-hearted, right? She's big-hearted, and when we asked ourselves, why do we think she opens her heart to everyone? You guys said you think she does it because she's
Lonely.
because she's lonely. So now, here's this little old lady who's asking her, tell me everything about yourself. Think in your head just for a minute. What do you think Opal's going to do? Don't think about what you would do, because you're not Opal. Think about our character Opal. What is she going to do now? Turn and talk to a partner about what you think Opal's going to do next.
I think she's going to tell everything about herself.
What are you guys thinking over here?
She'll tell her about herself.
Okay. Boys and girls, I hear a lot of you saying that she's going to answer this character. You think she's going to go ahead and tell about herself. So now, I want you to even dig deeper. I want you to be more specific. What do you think she's going to tell her?
About her mom.
About her mom, maybe.
Dixie.
How she got the dog. Good ideas. Sneaking. I'm sorry, guys. What do you think she might talk about?
What she likes to do.
What she likes to do. What else would she have to share?
About
When Dixie?
about her mom.
Maybe about our mom. Good ideas, good ideas. You can hear my voice clap once. You can hear my voice clap twice. Okay, I heard some great ideas. We pushed ourselves to use details in our predictions, and I am so proud of you because you guys are really digging deep. You said not only is she going to talk, but she's going to talk a lot, because that's kind of how she is. And you said she's probably going to talk about her mom, because that's a big part of why she's lonely. You said she's probably going to talk about how she got the dog Winn-Dixie. That makes sense to me too. I heard you say she might talk about, there was something else I heard. The preacher. Yeah, she might talk a little bit about her father and why they're there. Awesome. Now, readers make good predictions, but then what do they do next?
Read.
They've got to read. They've got to find out. Am I right? Am I sort of right? Am I way off? So I can't leave you guys hanging. We can't read all of chapter 10 right now, but I am going to let you in on just a little bit. Here's the beginning of chapter 10. I told Gloria Dump everything. I told her how me and the preacher had just moved to Naomi, and how I had to leave all my friends behind. I told her about my mama leaving, and I listed out the 10 things that I knew about her. And I explained that here in Naomi, I missed Mama more than I ever had in Watley. I told her about the preacher being like a turtle, hiding all the time inside his shell. I told her about finding Winn-Dixie in the produce department, and how, because of him, I became friends with Miss Franny Block and got a job working for a man named Otis at Gertrude's Pets, and got invited to Sweetie Pie Thomas's birthday party. I even told Gloria Dump how Dunlap and Stevie Dewberry called her a witch. But I told her they were stupid, mean, bald-headed boys, and I didn't believe them. Not for long, anyhow. Okay, how did we do?
Good.
Oh my gosh, you guys nailed it. We knew right away that she was going to talk a lot. And boy, oh boy, it sounded like she talked a lot. You guys were really specific. You dug deep and you said, she's going to talk about her mom. She's going to talk about the preacher. She's going to talk about Winn-Dixie. Yes. She even talked about those birthday parties and the fact that the boys called Gloria Dump a witch. I did not see that coming. Did any of you see that part coming?
Yeah.
But she was kind about it, which makes sense, right? Because she's a big-hearted character. Okay, so now my deeper idea is that Opal is happy to open her heart to everyone so she won't feel lonely anymore. This is definitely cementing that idea for me. So now it's your turn. When you go back and you are reading, I want you to think about the main things that have been going on in your book lately. I want you to think about your character. Based on a pattern in what that character wants or what that character does, I want you to think about what are they likely to do next? What kind of predictions can you make? Again, don't get confused though. Don't think that you're making a prediction based on what you would do next. Because sometimes the characters in our books are very different than us. Think back to Muggy Maggie. Okay, if I had predicted what I was going to do next, I would have just sat down and I would have written in cursive. But Maggie, oh no. She had a totally different character, didn't she? She was kind of stubborn. And so she went a whole different route. Be thinking about that in your books. I want you to think about your character, and based on their behaviors, based on what they say and do, I want you to think about what they are likely to do next. And jot it down so that we can share either in our book clubs or in our conferences. Everybody clear on that? Okay.
You can use and for a period, right?
Well, okay. You're jumping right into characters. You guys want to jump right in?
Yes.
Okay, we'll jump right in then. Let's start actually, I'm curious about your summaries because you guys had quite a bit of reading. and a lot happened. And so to be able to come up with a way to tell me just the important things
I tried.
was
but
tricky.
I wanted to do like 5 or 6 sentences.
I can understand why. I can understand why.
Could fit it all in the
I
book.
just say one
It's okay.
sentence for each chapter.
Okay, so let's share. We'll just go around the table and we'll listen to each other's, not because, I mean, this isn't for a grade. It's not because I'm, I
Which
want
one?
anybody's, hold on, honey. Nobody's going to be in trouble, nothing like that. I just want you to be able to hear each other's answers and start thinking about, hey, I really like how so-and-so did this. I can try that. Or, oh, I didn't even think about how I could have done it this way. So I want you to be able to learn from each other. So I really want you to be listened and tuned into what your friends are saying too. Okay.
Fern got Wilbur and she saved him. She had to give Wilbur to her uncle. He could have escaped, but he did not.
What did you notice about all of your answers? Somebody besides Miley. We can't let her do all the work. Bennett, what'd you notice?
They all had the, like, when they were chasing him, that part.
Okay, very good. Okay, when I think about story elements, I'm going to turn and peek at the story elements chart for a minute. Bridger? Okay, that's what I often think of when I have to summarize. I think of my main characters, which you guys all talked about Fern, and you all talked about Wilbur. Think about the setting, and you guys talked about a little bit about how it was on a farm. I heard little mentions here and there about the fence and different things like that. And the problem is a big part. And so him getting chased and him trying to get out but then coming back, that was a big part of the book too. And so I'm super proud of you for picking out those important pieces. I didn't hear a lot of the details, and that's what we wanted for today. So nice work.
We can't have the last one though because we don't know how things end up.
You're right. We don't have the resolution yet. You're right. I'm interested also in your character traits, because we've talked a lot about characters lately. So tell me about character traits. And since Autumn started last time, we're going to start somewhere else. All right, Gabby.
Fawn is a kind, caring, and loves nature. I know this because she saved the robot from dying.
Okay, that kind of goes with what Miley said when she jumped us right in, right? How many of you wrote about Fern? Would you agree with what Gabby just said? Do you guys have anything you want to add to that? Bennett?
That she's caring.
She said caring. Did you have any more evidence? Any more proof?
Well, she stopped her dad from doing it.
That's what I said.
That's exactly.
Well, I have some details.
What else did you have?
It's like she is nice. She is really nice too. She's a small pig. She had so much. She walked him and carried him a lot.
Okay, yeah. Just the fact that she's doing those kinds of things for just a pig.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Mason, go back to your seat, sweetheart.
Determined.
Mm-hmm. Determined. What do you guys think about that?
This has been more about Wilbur's perspective more than
Than Fern?
Fern's.
So why did you decide to write about Fern instead of Wilbur?
I don't know. I just realized that it's been more of Wilbur's perspective.
Would you guys agree with what Ryan's saying?
But at the beginning, it's more Fern's, but it's
Okay.
only for like a little bit.
And it'll kind of go back and forth.
Yeah.
All right, so hold on to Ryan's thought. We're kind of jumping around a little bit. Autumn was talking about Fern being determined. Is there some evidence of her being determined? What did you put down, Sweet Pea?
She begged her dad until he wouldn't kill Wilbur.
Okay, she didn't give up right away. Would you agree that that could point towards being determined?
Just like that.
Yeah, just like Kenton. Like my own kids are very determined. That's absolutely correct. Okay, so now back to what Ryan was saying, because this is interesting to me. Did any of you write about Wilbur's character?
We don't know really much about it yet.
You don't feel like you know enough yet? Okay, so maybe that would be an interesting character to focus on for the next chunk that we read. So if we think about Wilbur, kind of what he's been doing so far, and we think about this, we think about Fern, what predictions do you have for what might be coming next? Bridger's looking at chapter titles. That's a good way to make predictions, too. Ideas? Ryan, what do you think?
I'm wondering, did something bad happen to Fern because she didn't show up the next day?
And that doesn't fit with her determined personality, and that doesn't fit with her caring and kindness and wanting to take care of Wilbur, right?
Maybe something bad happened to her.
So maybe something bad happened. Good prediction. Yes, dear.
I have a prediction that when Wilbur wakes up, he'd probably be happy and Fern will come back and visit Wilbur.
Because, again, thinking about Fern, so far she's done a lot to show that she cares for him. So it would make sense that she would come back. What about you, Bennett?
And he might meet Charlotte.
Because the name of our book is Charlotte's Web, and no Charlotte. Were you guys surprised about that?
I saw it on the
Know what
5
happens.
All right.
chapter.
Chapter titles can help us figure out what's going to happen. Absolutely. So you've got loneliness and Charlotte. Very good. Bridger,
But her name's
hold on.
I don't know what's gonna happen on chapter 7 because it's titled Bad News.
Oh. Yeah.
I wonder what happened.
Loneliness, Charlotte, summer days, bad news. Eek.
I know what happened.